And welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. We tell you every week, you know where to find us. I am Chris Perfett, your adequate host here for the Pride of Detroit PODcast. We'll introduce the crew shortly. Check us out on Twitch and YouTube, where we are live every week. Move this one up to a Sunday recording here. But on twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit, search for Pride of Detroit on YouTube, where you can watch us live there. And once again, this thing is just devouring us. It's literally swallowing us whole. I started my night on a live stream with Jeremy Reisman, fearless leader at Detroit on Lion, and I am still awake after an overnight shift doing this podcast. This thing is hell, Jeremy. It is eating me alive. And once again, you are just trying to fleece every bitch for donations for your just disgusting porno mustache.
I'm not in a much better situation than you in terms of sleep. I probably got about 4 hours last night, up until about 2:30 writing/discussing it. Woke up at 6:30 because I always do. But I'm actually in a surprisingly good mood, all things considered, because overall I feel pretty darn good about this Matthew Stafford trade, and we're going to get into all the reasons why in a second. But, I didn't think I'd be here based on where I was at this time last week.
Yeah, no, I think this is definitely a different reaction from you. We'll just say that. I think you've gone through the appropriate stages of grief and joined me on the side of just sickos. So, but speaking of sickos, the third man, Ryan Matthews, at Ryan_POD. We will not go through the reason why Ryan is a sicko. We will not. We were just going to appreciate him. We welcome him in, nurture him, and love him. Hi, Ryan.
Yeah, that started off as a really, 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 really tough intro, but I think you saved yourself in the end.
That's how I always do it, man. That's how I always do it, just barely getting by.
It was like the Brad Holmes of intros. It's like, oh no, ooh. Matthew Stafford, mutually agree to part ways. How's this going to go? How's this going to go? Oh, it's awesome. Cool. All right, cool.
Everything is awesome. So we're starting there. So let's go down the hall again. Matt, if you don't know, you're just living under a rock, and for whatever reason, the first thing you click on is this podcast, maybe on Spotify or iTunes or Google Podcasts, and you hit play, and you don't know what we're talking about. The Lions have just dealt Matthew Stafford, longtime quarterback, to the Los Angeles Rams. Yes, fellow future traveler, the Rams now play in St. Louis. I mean, in Los Angeles. St. Louis Rams play in Los... God damn it. The St. Louis Rams play in Los Angeles.
You are catching people up that apparently were living underneath a rock for years now. I appreciate that.
Many years. Yeah. So the Lions are receiving 2 first round picks in 2022, 2023, a third rounder for 2021, and not anymore current, Los Angeles Rams quarterback Jared Goff. That is the haul. That is what it is for Stafford. He gets out of town. He apparently wants to play in Los Angeles, which I can't blame him, because A, Sean McVay's system seems really cool, and B, he can go hang out with Clayton Kershaw, and we can stop hearing about that connection.
We're going to hear about him more now. That's the worst part about this trade.
Absolutely. It's going to be on national TV more and more. So I discussed it last night with Jeremy. So I think I'm going to let Ryan, your initial reactions to this trade. I want you to go and start us off here.
Okay. So initially seeing the Schefter tweet, I felt conflicted, right? And I think I felt conflicted because there was so much going on. It was, draft picks in the future. It was Jared Goff. It was Matthew Stafford finally leaving Detroit. And I think that's where the conflictedness came from. And I'm not the person who, when Justin Verlander left Detroit, was like rooting and thumping for the Astros to win a World Series. And I'm definitely not that person now with Matthew Stafford. I mean, how can you root for the guy when just the volatility of this trade could lead to the Lions being in an incredible position when it comes to their future and future draft picks. It's a business, and I think that this trade really reflects that. Now, I think the Lions did maybe one of the sneaky good parts of this deal was eventually brought out. I can't remember which insider broke it because there were so many of them that were.
I believe it was Tom Pelissero had it first, but depending on who you ask, Jake Laser might try to claim it. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm specifically talking about the report that this was a deal that was done very amicably because Stafford preferred the Los Angeles Rams, and the Lions kind of made everything work in terms of the return they were able to get for Matthew Stafford, sending Matthew Stafford off into a direction that he wanted to go in. When you hold that up into comparison to how the Calvin Johnson situation was handled by similar ownership and leadership, I know that they're not exact same situations, but what that does, I think, is it starts to repair and build goodwill for players that are coming here. And I think that really piggybacks off the report from, I think it was from Burkett, where he mentioned that Dan Campbell said that he reached out to Matthew Stafford and was like, hey, like, I know, I understand why you want to go. I get it. If you could just do me a favor, I want to get an understanding of what it's been like, these past 12 years. What's the state of the locker room right now? And kind of just picking his brain. This regime has done everything very well. And Brad Holmes, in his first couple weeks as being general manager, has made the biggest trade in the franchise's history. He's walking into Allen Park with a wheelbarrow on Monday for sure.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point to jump off of here, is just the optics of it for the Lions, and it looks good. Like, even nationally, I think most people are thinking the Lions mostly came out on top, getting Matthew Stafford, a guy who's nearing the end of his career, who's coming off a couple injuries, to get to notch 2 first-round picks and a day 2 pick, as well as a guy who can bridge the gap at quarterback for a while. That seems like a very big win. But putting all of that, like the analysis side of it, just the optics of it, you're right. The Lions have this crappy notoriety of doing their best players in history poorly, and they certainly didn't in this case. And we'll get into it a little bit later whether they maybe gave up some things in order to make Matthew Stafford happy, and maybe even if they did potentially give up a quote unquote better deal for Matthew Stafford, would it have been that worth it to make Matthew Stafford unhappy, to say, like, maybe send him to Washington, a dysfunctional organization from top to bottom that is also probably trying to look to better their image? Would it have been worth it to maybe get whatever deal they had that may have helped the Lions more short term, but also make Matthew Stafford upset? Probably not, honestly, given where this franchise has been, and that can pay off. Whether it brings in free agents this year, probably not, given the optics of what this team is going to look like in 2021 and probably 2022. But if you're looking at this Lions franchise and they've just been known for wasting the careers of Calvin Johnson, wasting the careers of Barry Sanders, making everyone upset, and thinking this place was a hellhole, this was a very good way to turn things around in an instant. Because you got to remember, this is Sheila Ford Hamp's first offseason too. So now she's kind of living on with a little extra money in her pocket, and obviously Brad Holmes made quite a first impression there. So I'm pretty impressed by this whole outcome so far.
Yeah, I don't really buy that Washington had a better offer. I think this was the best offer available. I question, I'll just be honest. I was reading some of Josina Anderson's tweets, and she was the one bringing up that, like, her league source very adamantly pounding the table saying Lions left a better deal from Washington on the table. It really sounded like her source was someone inside Washington, that it was just sour grapes at that point. I don't know what. It's possible, but we haven't seen the Washington deal as of this recording. But I find it hard to believe that Washington was going to be able to offer 2 first round picks.
No, I don't think there was definitely not 2 first round picks on the table anywhere. The question becomes whether there was like a first and a second this year. I think it's a fair debate to have whether that's better than what the Lions got or not.
Okay, but like Washington's first would have been the 19th overall.
Sure.
Like I think it sounded like Denver was, if they could have gotten a deal with Denver, I would have been curious then if you wager up between Rams or Denver, because the holding point that seemed for Denver was that the Lions wanted their first and Denver was on board with that. But then they also wanted some of the young talent on Denver's roster, which I said was, I think in a few things I wrote this week and talked on some podcasts, I said that was absolutely a possibility. And that was absolutely probably a goal of this Lions team, was to acquire young talent on team friendly deals. And just Denver balked at that price because they like what they've got. So I think it sounded like maybe the Lions even wanted Drew Lock in there, which would have been, Go on, Ryan.
Well, I'm just going to say I think that's an important point, Chris, for us to kind of hit the reset button on this trade in and of itself. Like when you look at this trade signifies to fans, it signifies to the rest of the league, it signifies to everybody that the Lions are rebuilding. This isn't, obviously, if there were better offers on the table, I don't even know if they can be called better offers. They have to be considered different offers. Right. And I just mean that in the sense that Washington could have given you maybe more up front right now, but the Lions are playing the long game to this. They're not interested. They don't, I don't think Brad Holmes, I don't think Dan Campbell thinks that this roster right now, as it's constructed, can compete in 2021, maybe not even 2022, if you consider, taking on Jared Goff to be the bridge. But I think that it's really important to grade this trade or to value it based on the extracurriculars that are going on outside of it. You have to understand the viewpoint and the perspective that the front office was taking with this.
Yeah, I think that was the argument going around with the Washington deal, was like this was more help right now for Detroit, which probably means they were giving up the first and probably some pieces that they had under contract. But I don't think it doesn't seem like they were pieces that, again, met that youth requirement that the Lions are looking for. And I don't think, that second first pick really sweetened the pot, I think, for Detroit. And I think I'll talk about it later too, but it gives them massive flexibility in the next 3 drafts on what they could do. Like in any of these drafts. I know Jeremy and I were having this conversation before we started on the difference in value or seemingly lack thereof among GMs looking at a first round draft pick this year versus a first round draft pick in a future draft class.
And that's kind of the before we jump off into more things about this trade, because I don't want to get too stuck up on the other deals, is that argument that a first round draft pick in 2020 or in 2021 is worth a first round draft pick next year is essentially the same as a second round draft pick this year. There's this kind of and that's the way sometimes the NFL operates. Like the Lions jumped into the 4th round of a draft recently with a 3rd round pick from next year. This thought that it's the Popeye thing. I'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. That sort of thing. and I get that that's how the NFL operates, but I think this is a special scenario for the Lions in that I don't think it works out that way. There's a couple of reasons. One is that the Lions have the value of time. They've given out long-term deals to the new GM. They've given out a long-term deal to the new head coach. A first round pick a couple years down the road, to me, is just about the exact same as it is today, because they're not trying to win this year. They're not trying to win next year. They're trying to win 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, 5 years down the line. Plus, there's the whole COVID situation, right? There's not going to be an NFL combine. All these interviews that they're going to be doing are going to be virtual with these draft picks. Brad Holmes just got in the damn building, so he doesn't have everything set up to what he wants. Next year, they're going to be much more comfortable in the whole draft process. Hopefully, COVID will be over, so we'll have a normal full offseason to really get to know the 2022 draft class in a way they aren't going to get to know the 2021 draft class. So to me, I'll take picks down the line. And to me, it holds just about the same value. obviously we have to wait and see what happens with the Rams and how high these first round picks, and that amount of variance is going to matter. And it's a huge risk for the Rams, right? Like, yes, they look like a Super Bowl contender right now. Matthew Stafford could get injured. Plenty of other people could get injured. They're in a tough division. Who knows what those draft picks are going to look like at all? A lot of people are assuming it's going to be like 28 or lower. It's just like, okay, well, let's chill for a second. The NFL is not that predictable.
There's a lot of assumption that just because they picked up Stafford that they'll go far. Again, injuries could derail it. I mean, I don't know if the 49ers will get a quarterback now. Like, I don't know if they can really land, say, a Deshaun Watson. But if they get a quarterback, they'll be competitive in that division too. The Seahawks and the Cardinals could both be competitive. They're both wild card teams. And that's a tough division. The NFC West is a really tough division, and there's no guarantees. They've got everything like set up right for them there, but we've seen this before where everything looks great and then just stuff falls apart. This is the NFL. Like, it's funny too, because it's hit this weird thing, because I know a lot of Lions fans will root for Stafford in Los Angeles, but the more they struggle, the better those draft picks are going to be for the next few years too. So, I mean, it's win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm a little more conflicted in my opinions, because I don't know. I do want to see Matthew Stafford succeed. I do want to see Matthew Stafford prove some of the doubters here in Detroit wrong that said, this guy wasn't capable of winning a playoff game, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, like, one, I'm going to definitely hate at the bottom of my core watching him lift a Lombardi trophy somewhere else. And two, I mean, even the 20th overall pick is so much different than the 32nd or the 31st. So maybe once we get into the playoffs, my opinions will change a little bit. But I'm understanding of both sides. If you want Matthew Stafford to win, I get it. If you want the Rams to just go out and hellfire and flame out, I get that too.
Okay. Go ahead, Ryan.
Real quick, just to kind of put a bow on this talk about the variance and the potential return for those first round picks. I think Robert Mays from The Athletic had a couple of really good tweets where, if that assumption is the first round picks are going to be in the 20s, like, that sounds great until everything goes off the rails and you're giving a team like the 3rd overall pick.
Right.
He also says, like, have faith that the Rams have enough to avoid disaster even if they get unlucky, but there's considerable risk in doing this. And he even like brings up a great point. He's like, hey, I think Kyle Shanahan is an awesome head coach. I think the 49ers have an awesome defense. Look what happened last year. They went 6-10.
Yep.
So life in the NFL is anything but a certainty. And here's the certain thing. 2 first-round picks for a quarterback that is closer to the twilight of his career than the prime of his career in terms of health. And I think that cannot be understated.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, and again, like, I'm looking at this draft right now. You're talking about how these things can fall apart. Miami has a 3rd overall pick because of Houston. Like, yeah.
Houston's
best laid plan. What's that?
I said Houston's going to Houston. Bill O'Brien's going to Bill O'Brien.
Best laid plans, man. All right, well, let's take a quick break, reset, come back. I do want to talk about who seems to be the new Lions quarterback of the present, Jared Goff, and more impacts from this trade next year on the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Okay, thank you. Thank you for those saying that they like my haircut. I appreciate that. For those asking what I'm wearing, it is literally just a blanket. It is one of these sweatshirt blankets I've had for like 20 years. I walked in the door like less than an hour ago. It is cold. It is cold.
Really quick, let me catch up on some alerts. Lions WoW subbed for 16 months in a row. Appreciate your support, Lions. Wow, that gets the Save the Stash campaign, by the way, which is ending at the end of the show. Just going to throw that out there.
Jeremy,
yes.
We need to do something about your mic, too, because you're really burning out. Like, you don't need to turn down levels. Is there, like, a knob? Because, like, your input is, like,
too high?
Cranked. Your gain is cranked so high, man.
How about now? Is that better?
Much better, much better. You might have to turn your output up a little bit, because I know now, like, we talked about it, on a show like last night because you did crank yourself down, but yeah, you were just burning out.
My bad.
No, it's fine. All right, continue.
Also, Apex Predator with a $5 super chat over on YouTube says, this trade is like my divorce. At first I didn't want it, but in the end it's best for everyone involved. Sorry to hear that, Apex, but I'm glad you're on the better side of it. Also, there was a question from chat from J Markey. Says, I've been meaning to ask, is there a way to support the podcast that isn't financial? I've been having money problems because of COVID, but I flippin' love the show. I would say two things to you, J Merkel. If you have Amazon Prime, you can link that to your Twitch account and sub to us for free. Won't cost you a thing. The other thing I would say is to leave us reviews everywhere. That's a great way to support the podcast,
especially iTunes,
Apple Podcasts. Yeah, especially. That's
make
where
sure there's good reviews.
Well, if you flippin' love the show, I would hope it would be a good review, but yes.
Yeah, a 5-star and don't say anything bad about me. God, I'm tired of seeing that.
What?
Streets love the fit. Yeah, I wish it was a fit, man. I've had this blanket forever, but I'm just cold.
Turn his stash down. There's no knob on this guy.
Oh, the knob broke off. It's already at 11.
Yeah. Let's see. I like this from Tribe and YouTube. Stafford, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, all in their prime. Funny enough about Jalen Ramsey, as I think Kyle Meinke pointed out, Kelly Stafford not a fan of Jalen Ramsey.
Can we?
As of 2 years ago.
I was really
not our problem anymore, man.
I was really hoping we were going to get through this without
not our problem anymore, man.
I have nothing to say on this topic. I know Ryan sure does, but
no, I already got it all out on Twitter, kind of like you did last night when you took your victory laps. That was like the Daytona 500 of victory laps, but you like started at lap 1.
Yeah. There were a lot of stupid people that thought Lions weren't going to get a first-round pick for Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I spammed a lot of them with the Drifter oof as well, too, which was, yeah. Ryan the Lion 2988. We are going to talk about that possibility in this next segment with Goff, about whether or not the Lions can flip him. Although there's plenty more than just that here. I'll just say that. There's
something that we didn't get to talk about in the first segment that
we're kind of all over the place, yeah.
Right, but it was just the point where we were talking about like whatever Washington's offer was, and the reports that like it was a better offer according to whatever source that Josina Anderson has. Like after reading the recent piece that came out where like Jay Gruden was talking about how at Washington, like they would take their time scouting, the general manager would be on board with it, Jay Gruden would be on board with it, and then Dan Snyder just shows up off of his yacht and makes a pick. So like,
Jay Gruden's own word is about the yacht too.
Yeah, I mean, let's not dismiss or be blind to the idea that could be just Dan Snyder throwing a little hissy fit in public.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing too. Unless, and I mean, like, probably wasn't even close to being on the table. But like, if you're the Lions and you have so many holes on defense, and that Washington front seven, I mean, especially their defensive line more so. If none of those pieces were included in any of the deals, I think that the Rams offer is just more attractive.
Yeah, and I think what I can infer too from, if I'm comparing this and also throwing in again what we know about the Broncos proposal, which I kind of picked from who is it? Was it Mark Ellis? I believe in. I'm trying to find the tweet again here real quick. It was Mike Ellis had this. It says per source, Broncos were engaged in Stafford talks. Lions were interested in Broncos core of young players, including Drew Lock. Again, from what I can infer from this, plus what we actually got from the Rams, the Lions were looking for a quarterback in return from whatever they were going to give up on Stafford, because I think they wanted someone who was at least a few years established to be that bridge quarterback. They didn't want to have to go and get a Tyrod Taylor, right? Like they wanted a Lock or a Goff in there.
I don't know if Locke is established at this point, but potentially.
No. But he's in that same vein as Goff. It's like they do well under play action. They're not a quarterback of the future, but there's someone that's under team control that you can keep around for a few years while you figure out the future.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that it just doesn't seem like what was football team going to offer in that vein? Alex Smith? Dwayne Haskins?
To me, I don't think I'd be very surprised if a bridge quarterback was a necessity in this trade. Why? I mean,
sure,
why
but
would
it's
it
definitely
be?
something they were interested in.
Maybe, but like, pick up Ryan Fitzpatrick for $6 million. Like,
okay.
I don't know.
I know, but like, I'm just wondering because again, I look at that Broncos thing and it said that Drew Lock included in there, so I don't. Yeah,
that's weird.
They cut Haskins already. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, go on, Ryan.
I think another aspect of the trade that you want to consider and think about is that like this is Brad Holmes. I mean, who knows Jared Goff better than Brad Holmes? So, not saying that, and I'm not trying to say that like he thinks that he's going to be the guy for like the next few years or maybe even moving forward. I'm just saying that there's a level of comfortability that's built in and embedded with getting Jared Goff.
Well, hold on to that thought because I think we'll use that in our next segment. I think that's important to bring out to point out too. Yeah.
Before we get back into it, thank you, Dirty Red Beard, for the Twitch Prime subscription. We're up to two subs.
2 subs.
Mwahaha.
Better than one.
True. Just like 2 first round picks are better than 1.
Excuse me. It's funny, man. There's a lot of people saying that the Rams lost this trade, and I just don't see it. Like,
I mean, yeah, that's something. I don't
chips
know if we
are all
want to
in
talk about the Rams' point of view on this podcast at all, or if we
chips are their point of view is literally how you feel about Stafford as a quarterback. But as far as I'm concerned, chips are all in for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, but that's the thing with the Rams, though, is that we've been saying this year after year after they went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
They keep just selling the future, man.
The chips are all in. The chips are all in. And guess what? None of those first-round draft picks that they would have had were 28, 29, 30, or 31, or 32. Like, they were, like, in the early 20s. So,
yeah. But it, I mean, we had that conversation when we were talking about Brad Holmes with Vincent Bonsignor, and he's like, this isn't, and it's the same situation. The Rams aren't mortgaging the future for now. Like, they just trust themselves to kick the crap out of second round through fourth round picks, and maybe they do. And I don't necessarily view this as a desperation grab for them. I think it's more of like they're a fascinating case right now, and I've seen a lot of people say of just like, can you survive long-term just continually doing this? Continually sending out your first-round picks for proven talent. It's something that not really anyone else has been trying to do on a consistent basis, and it's interesting.
I think it hasn't been proven yet. Like, that was the thing. It's like I saw someone saying, like, Rams out here proving the first-round draft picks aren't as high-valued. I think people are mistaking hypothesis for theory. The Rams have a hypothesis on what they have an idea on what they believe about the value of the first round, but there's not enough data out there to really support it. But they're doing the case study right now.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that they have up their sleeve is this guy named Aaron Donald, who is potentially the greatest defensive player of all time, and that's no hyperbole. So, like, when you have that man in the middle, some other things become a lot easier. I mean, look at, I don't know. It's like you said, Chris. I think that was a very eloquent point.
But there is something worth saying about this team being they've been a contender for the past 4 years. Like that is some level of success. It's not, they don't have any rings, to show for it. But I mean, would the Lions take 4 medium to deep runs into the playoffs in a row? You're damn right they
would. Here's the thing. Like, you say that right now. No, you say that right now, but
they would take.
I know enough. I know enough Bills fans, man, that those goalposts keep moving.
They do.
Those goalposts keep moving.
But
I'm just gonna say that.
All I'll say is that I do believe the playoffs in general are a bit of a coin toss. So if you keep getting yourselves there into the first, into the second, into the conference championship games, like, you're doing what you need to do to give yourself a shot. And so the Rams,
Yeah.
I think you're right that it's still very much a theory, but it's off to a pretty damn hypothesis. Sorry, they're off to a pretty darn good start. That's what I'll say.
No, I think that's true. I just think at some point, like you won't be like at some point, you're not going to be able to keep kicking this can down the road with the free agency contracts and some of the deals you've been kicking around. Like at some point, you will have to get young again, and at that point, you're going to be a little hamstrung. But we'll see.
Let me catch up on alerts really quick because we just had a slew of them come in.
And then I want to read this one. I want to read this one article to you, but read those first.
Sure.
And then I want to read this.
Cool Boy gave a Twitch Prime sub as well. Jay Russ gifted a sub to Church. Joshua Mercer dropped a 5 bomb to 5 different gifted subs. Logan's Way figured out how to use his Twitch Prime. Sorry I didn't let you know how to, but hopefully obviously you figured it out. Wisebone with a tier 1 sub. Stringle with 2 gifted subs. And then we had 100 bits from Cordy who says 5 first rounders in 3 years. Ooh-wee. And Church with 100 bits. Now let me catch up. So I had 10. I think we had. Make sure I want to.
Yeah, I see the reports hitting our Twitch chat now, and I want to read it. I want to read it on. I want to put it in the podcast, actually, if you don't mind.
I love that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. We're gonna talk. Let's lead off this segment talking about it. Then we'll get into Goff.
Tell me that's actually true. Hold on.
That is. I am reading the Tom Curran article right now on NBCSports.com.
That's amazing.
Yeah, how the tables turn, man.
Chad, do I have?
We'll talk about
those
it.
Numbers right? I feel like I do have that number right. Are we at 16? I don't know if you guys are keeping track or not, but I think we're at 16. So I'm just gonna leave it there for now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Let's jump back into this. It's cold. And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Okay, as always, peeling back the curtain, we try to be upfront with you guys about, like, we do this all live. Stuff happens behind the scenes. Sometimes our live chat takes over. But this broke while we were just sitting here kind of recalibrating. We're going to get to Jared Goff in a second, but this tickled Jeremy so much. I'm like, all right, well, I'll read this. And I don't think Ryan has seen it yet. This is coming from Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston. More details out of the blockbuster deal that sent Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams. And Curran, you might ask, NBC Boston, what do they have to say? Well, apparently Stafford told the Lions they could send him anywhere but the New England Patriots. Rest assured, Stafford does not have a no trade clause in that contract, but he had one team and one team only he did not want to go to, the New England Patriots. Oh my God.
That's fantastic. That's hilarious.
Do you think that's more Josh Daniels or Matt Patricia or?
Well, I think it's just, I mean, he saw what the Patriot way was, and granted the Lions had a mangled version of it here, but like that's how they run things in New England too. It's just like very strict, very not fun. And I mean, Matthew Stafford's 33 years old. He wants to go out and have fun and win some ball games. And yeah, maybe he wins some ball games in New England. I think they probably bounce back in a big way next year, but that's hilarious. And for it to happen literally like days after Matt Patricia rejoins the Patriots, it's just very funny. Very funny.
I mean, they don't have any receivers right now. Their whole offense is a mangled mess. Ryan, what do you think of this headline?
I think that I pointed this out back when the Matt Patricia stuff was going on during the season, but like I think it spoke volumes how Matt Stafford wasn't backing Matt Patricia after Thanksgiving. Like, there was just way more to that than I think anybody really gave credence to. I have to 100% think that, yeah, I agree with Jeremy to a certain extent. Like, maybe the Patriot way wasn't for Matthew Stafford, but I think specifically Matt Patricia's Patriot way was not something that Matthew Stafford thrived in. And you just can't help but connect the dots and say, well, Matt Patricia's back in New England. So there's no way that Matthew Stafford would want to bump elbows with that guy on the same team ever again. So, because dude, I mean, it's not a better situation though. Like, think about the dearth of talent that is on that New England Patriots offense. Like, you didn't think the Lions had any receivers after Kenny Golladay went down?
Oh man.
Yikes. Look at that Patriots receiving core.
Yeah, who's the best one right now? Is Chris White still on the team?
Hey, you know what? You could have looked no further than the Lions roster and say, "Oh, look, it's Mohamed Sanu, the guy that the Patriots traded a second-round pick for a couple years ago and then cut."
Yeah. Yep. Wow. Yeah. As I said, man, things change. The mighties don't remember mighties, and yeah.
And good for them too, though, because as you guys already mentioned, Matthew Stafford had no say in where he went. And again, coming back to that point, like, the Lions did him right, but they also got an awesome return. So it's really just like a win-win.
Win-win-win, I feel like. I know some Rams fans aren't seeing this as a win, but I don't know, man. It seems like everyone seems to think that they paid heavily, but they got a great quarterback. So I don't know. I'm still triangulating the Rams position from the chatter. But I wanted to take a second, if we could, to talk about Jared Goff, who is, for now, the Lions quarterback.
Oh,
Goff.
The ultimate Lions legend, Jared Goff.
Yeah,
Super Bowl quarterback, Lions quarterback. When is the last time you've been able to say those two things together?
Hey,
Mansur Shaheen's personal favorite quarterback.
When was the last time you were able to say a 2-time Pro Bowl quarterback?
Maybe literally never.
I think he has a slightly higher career QBR than Stafford as well. So clearly he's just a better quarterback.
Why do we have to troll everybody like this for so long?
Because we have to. Okay, so here's the thing. The thing with Jared Goff is there seems to be a lot of options. I know we talked about him a little bit in the first segment as basically a stopover, a bridge quarterback, whatever you want to call him, because I think we're all in agreement that the Lions will draft a quarterback in the next couple of drafts, right? Like, but I'm fascinated by this because on one hand, the downside is it's a lot of money on there. It's a lot of money on the contract. I know, Jeremy, you just wrote something here on Sunday about kind of the particulars of that contract coming from some other writers out there who've been trying to like piece it together. It's going to, and I know some Lions fans and writers were wringing their hands like, oh my God, is this money going to handicap the Lions from re-signing Kenny Golladay? The short answer is no. But more than just the contract there, like, it's a second chance for Jared Goff in a better position, or maybe it could be flipped. But like, I don't know, like there's a lot going on with this contract right now. The Lions have just picked up and will have Jared Goff for 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the whole crux of the debate, whether this was a good trade or not, right? Because if the trade was simply just Matthew Stafford for 2 first-round picks, I think everyone would have been on board. But Jared Goff, in a lot of people's mind, is a negative in this trade, and it has everything to do with the contract. He's going to take out $27.8 million chunk out of the Lions cap hit this year, 25.5 next year, unless they cut him. So, I mean, this was a salary cap dunk by the Rams, no question. And so the Lions almost certainly got more in return to take it on. The question is, how serious are they about Jared Goff, though? Because you have to think about Brad Holmes in this situation. He is a guy who was very, very, very much involved in him being drafted by the Los Angeles Rams. He was literally asked by the general manager, Les Snead, are you in if we trade up and get this guy? And he said, absolutely yes, go get him. We need to get our guy. We've been, twiddling our thumbs for too long at the quarterback position. Let's go get him. There are already reports out there that Dan Campbell has reached out to Jared Goff and said, hey, you're our guy. You're going to be our starter this year. We believe in you. We're jacked up about you. You're our quarterback. Now, is that just, pumping up a guy who just got traded and probably feels a little down in the dumps being traded from a very good franchise to go to a team that everyone can see is rebuilding? Maybe. But I think there is legitimacy to there, and let's not pretend like Jared Goff is a complete trash can, okay? Like, I'm sick of hearing that from everybody else. This is a guy who went to 2 straight Pro Bowls. This was a guy who was a top 10 in every single metric you can look at 2 years ago, 2018. That's not that long ago. And yes, the last two seasons have been very bad. And yes, he's coming from one of the most brilliant offensive minds in the NFL. And if he can't make that work, yes, you should have serious concern. But I think the Lions' interest in Goff as an actual quarterback is real. And like you said, I think 2021 is a test year. The Lions could still very much pick a quarterback 7 overall. I think it's very much within the realm of possibility. The guy they like just has to be there. Even if they do, I still think Goff has an audition with the Lions. If he plays well, then maybe he sticks around. His cap hit is actually very, very manageable in 2023 and 2024. I think it's 25, 26, something like that million.
And if you have questions about it too, like, it can be restructured.
Right.
It can be restructured.
Sure.
Like, I don't think I've seen some people wringing their hands and saying, like, taking on this contract means that the Lions won't be able to sign Kenny Golladay or Marvin Jones. And I have to disagree on that. I have to disagree on that, because you could set up a loaded cap deal with Kenny Golladay where when his cap hit starts to hit, Goff is off the books by then.
Right.
And then you've succeeded with Goff being the bridge quarterback.
And that's the other thing, is just like, his contract is essentially a 2-year deal with 2 options for the Lions and beyond that. And so, I mean, are the Lions really going to need all that salary cap money in 2021, in 2022? Who are they going to go get, and what difference is it going to make?
They're not going to be building through free agency. They're building through the draft. Right. They've already made that clear to you.
Yep.
Ryan, I want to impress upon what Jeremy said. I don't know. I forget where you stand actually on Jared Goff. I forget if you think he's horrible or you like him, but I feel like this is kind of, for Jared Goff, this is kind of his last chance, right? If you don't land and make an impression in 2021, by the time this contract is up, at best, you're probably a journeyman in this league. At worst, you're probably out.
Sure. I mean, with that being said, too, there's always the Chicago Bears, and they can always use quarterback help. So,
oh God.
But here's the thing, and here's where I stand with Jared Goff. Is he a good NFL quarterback? Well, he was, as Jeremy said 2 years ago, he was a really good NFL quarterback. Do I think that over the past 2 years he's shown enough to prove that he's not that guy? I think that there are definite question marks that exist, and link some of them to injury, link some of them to kind of his inability to really grow in Sean McVay's offense. I don't think that Jared Goff is a good quarterback. I don't think that Jared Goff is a terrible quarterback either. I think that he's a competent NFL starter who is probably a bottom of the quarter of the league in terms of starters. Now, I think that that's something important to have for the Lions, especially for a team that's rebuilding. Do you really want to throw caution to the wind and end up, starting the season with David Blau or Chase Daniel, or, I don't even know if, like Jeremy said, if their guy is even going to be there at 7, and you don't want to reach and take a quarterback that you don't view as being part of your future and your building. So I think it's really important getting a competent level NFL starter that's not going to signal to the rest of your team that, like, hey, we're going to be bad. Like, we're going to really, really be bad. And there's nothing you can do about it because, Mitch Trubisky's at quarterback, or, hey, Alex Smith, who has one leg, is going to be our quarterback. Like, you're not setting that precedent or that expectation from the onset with a guy like Jared Goff. Now, are you saying that you're a Super Bowl competitor? Absolutely not. But you're at least telling the rest of your team, like, hey, we're out here to try to win some football games.
And let me propose something to both of you, and you can tell me which one you would take. Because one thing that you also have to factor in here is, if the Lions weren't getting a quarterback in return, they were going to have to go out and spend on one. They weren't going to just have Chase Daniel in here leading the team. So would you rather have Jared Goff for the next 2 years at cap hits of 27.5, 25.5, or and let's whittle down the Lions trade to say they got an extra first round for that. Otherwise, the deal would have been a first and a third. So would you rather have Jared Goff, a first round pick, cap hits of 27 and 25 million, or Tyrod Taylor for 2 years, let's say 11 million, which is the last deal he signed. 2 years, 11 million, that extra cap space, but no first round pick.
I like Tyrod, but I'll take that. I'll take that extra draft pick. Like that's what sells me on this is the extra draft pick.
I know I made this tough on you, Ryan.
You made it really hard.
I had to pick Tyrod Taylor.
You could have said Cam Newton too, and I would have been on board for that.
Sure.
Oh, geez, no.
But yeah, I think that I would take the Jared Goff thing because, and I think this is being so overblown by people, but the contract really doesn't matter all that much because by the time the Lions are ready to start being competitive, as Jeremy already mentioned earlier in the podcast, like there are easy outs in 2023 and 2024.
Yeah, he's off the books.
Yeah,
he's off the books.
But I mean, there is, to play devil's advocate, I'm talking about 35 to 40 million that you're saving here. And that can be rolled over if you don't want to spend it in the first couple of years. It can help towards an extension where you can level out that number to Kenny Golladay so he isn't hurting you a lot at the back end of a contract.
Bye Kenny Golladay. Bye. Like the line. Well, that's the thing though, is I think that this is a whole other discussion, but I'm just saying that the Lions signaled who they are and who they're going to be moving forward for the next couple of years. I don't know if Kenny Golladay fits into that timeline.
It's possibly. I mean, the quote from Dan Campbell that emerged this week, and I think it was to Dave Burkett. I want to say let me read it directly. He says, "As much as I would love to believe that we're close, we're probably not that close."
That's amazingly refreshing. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's insane, and the whole thing is, I'm not concerned about trying to find the high-priced free agent, the number one guy on the board. Most teams might do that because that's the guy that puts them over the edge. As much as I would love to believe, we're not that close. Like that. I mean, right. He's basically telling you, like, if we had that 40 million in cap space, it means nothing to us right now because we're going to splurge on a pass rusher that'll get us 3 years of good play, but 7 wins total.
Exactly. Yeah. So let me propose this to you real quick as well. Signing Kenny Golladay to be the kind of money he's going to demand, he's going to be a top 7, I think, paid wide receiver in the NFL. Wouldn't that be a way sillier move than taking on Jared Goff and his contract for the next couple of years? I mean, if Dan Campbell's saying that, and they're taking on Jared Goff's contract, and also doing that with Kenny Golladay, that would be a head scratcher to me.
Plus, the salary cap is a lie. Sorry, I'm not.
Yes,
I'm not a guy that's
man, like
wringing my hands over the salary cap. I'm just not. I'm sorry.
I did a podcast with Saints guys, and I kept saying, like, how the hell can you guys do this with over 100 million over the cap? And they're just like, Disner has ways, man. He'll figure it out. Disner has ways.
Yeah,
it's insane what's going on here. Okay, this is the only other thing I want to say. The only other big thing I want to present to you guys on Goff is that I've seen plenty of fans. They're not enthused about the idea of Goff, and I get that. I totally get that. And they're wondering if Goff, because there's so many teams out there, they're hungry for a quarterback, if Goff by himself with his contract can now be flipped for another pick. I don't think so. No. Yeah, and I see Jeremy shaking his head. I don't think you get a third for him. I don't think you get a fourth for him. That contract is, I'm not going to call it an albatross, but that's a negative.
I mean, it's the reason the Lions got a second first-round pick. So, I mean, if the Lions were able to do that, build a Brad Holmes statue right this instant. If he can get a day 2 pick for Jared Goff right now, he's amazing. But I don't think that's the Lions' intentions. And I certainly don't think they're going to have any buyers. I know it's going to be a very quarterback-hungry market this offseason, especially with Deshaun Watson being dangled in front of people and Aaron Rodgers being dangled in front of people. But no one is taking on this Jared Goff contract.
And the other thing to that point, Jeremy, do you think Dan Campbell's really going to destroy all the goodwill that he just earned by trading Stafford to the place that he wants to go to by like just going back and completely like screwing his comments that like, hey Jared, like you're our starter. I'm super excited. Like let's do this thing. Like
yeah, that's the other part too. Like they're committing to Jared Goff for this year.
There, and
which
that's
who has a problem with that?
I would say there is a small possibility if he pops off in 2021, then you might dangle him. I mean, why not? Like, he's probably not your long-term
then you've
quarterback.
got options.
Then you might
got
trade him.
options
And, I mean,
point. Yeah.
If that happens, like everyone who hated on this trade from the get-go, if they can trade, if Goff pops off in a crappy year, the Lions go 6-11, and you know he puts up a 120 passer rating. That's ridiculous. But
yeah. So
but I'm saying like send him for a second round pick, and suddenly you get 2 firsts, a second, and a third for Matthew Stafford.
Picture this. On the national TV, Lions going to Los Angeles to SoFi Stadium to play the Rams. Stafford against his old team. Jared Goff against his old team. And Goff pops off. And Monday Night Football crew, I'm assuming it's Monday Night Football, is talking constantly about, look how good Jared Goff, he's revived his career with Anthony Lynn as his offensive coordinator. He looks really fine out there. You're telling me that the Lions then can't go and turn him into a rental for some trade bait the following year? Come on.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you guys, like, let's put all of this, you know, the narrative aside. What's your guys' expectations of Jared Goff in Detroit? Is it going to fall flat on his face? Is it just going to be kind of like a shrug your shoulders here, or maybe do you think maybe Anthony Lynn might actually fit what Jared Goff brings?
I think he's going to the first thing Lynn and Mark Brunell needs to work on with Jared Goff is that throwing motion. That has been the thing holding him back all this time. It's a weird throwing motion. It's hampering him. That and some of his decision making, he needs to tighten that up. I don't think we're ever going to get the Jared Goff we got when he was popping off and taking the Rams to the Super Bowl. But I can't believe that Jared Goff is worse than that John Wolford deserves the start over Jared Goff. I'm sorry, I don't. He has talent. We saw that talent when he was playing at Cal Berkeley. I get it. He's not a tier 1 or tier 2 quarterback. We've gotten spoiled off of Matt Stafford, but Jared Goff is not this bad. I'm sorry. He's not. You can reclaim him a bit. He's someone that is serviceable, not someone you can live with long term, but I can't believe he is. We need to take him out for John Wolford bad. Like I'm sorry, I can't believe that.
Yeah, I mean he had an injury too, so I mean that whole scenario and situation I think needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Here are my expectations for Jared Goff in Detroit, Jeremy, to compete for the starting quarterback job each year he's here. And because I don't think that the Lions take quarterback off the board at 7. This trade 100% should not do that. Like there are quarterbacks that are more ready. Obviously, like Trevor Lawrence, who's going to go number 1. Justin Fields is a little bit more ready. Zach Wilson's a little bit more polished. But then there's quarterbacks like, you know, Trey Lance, who is becoming a really popular name that people are associating with Detroit for a variety of reasons. But that would be a guy that would really benefit from a year of seasoning. However, if he outperforms Jared Goff, I mean, the NFL is a really interesting league in the sense that, like in the NBA, and this is a good analogy, trust me, like Blake Griffin is making a ton of money, but he has to keep playing because he makes a ton of money. Like, I don't think in the NFL, like just because Jared Goff is taking up a cap hit, that doesn't mean that Jared Goff needs to play. Like, those two things aren't, like even look in New Orleans, and I think this is a really important point, somewhere where Dan Campbell came from. It wasn't Jameis Winston that took over for Drew Brees. It was Taysom Hill. And there's something to the idea and something to the effect of Taysom Hill gives us a better chance to win now versus Jameis Winston did. For whatever reason, I don't know if you want to agree with that, but that's what they believed in. I think that that's a mantra that they're going to believe in here in Detroit. Like Dan Campbell's going to think like the best guy to give this team the best chance to win is going to play. And I think that Jared Goff can be that guy.
I'll leave you guys with one piece of optimism with Jared Goff potentially actually working out here. And to be clear, I'm mostly playing devil's advocate here because I don't think things will work out. I think Jared Goff stays here 2 years at most. But I think the pairing with Anthony Lynn is interesting because if you look at Jared Goff and you look at when he was successful, they had a hell of a running game there with Todd Gurley and the Rams. And what do we all think the Lions are trying to do offensively right now? They got Deuce Staley. They got Anthony Lynn, former running backs. They got an old school guy in Dan Campbell. They're trying to bring the running game back to Detroit. They're trying to establish the run, whether they want to play off with quotes saying like, I'm not just the old school guy. They're trying to establish the run here. They are. And that would help Jared Goff a lot. Like play action pass is where it's his bread and butter. And I know you don't have to have a great running game for play action to work, but Anthony Lynn loves to play action, and I think it might work.
Oh my God! I'm establishing the run.
Hey, it's no coincidence that the 2 best years of Jared Goff's career were Todd Gurley's 2 best years too.
So here's the only thing I'll counter to that is like I think that's all based on him being good at play action. Yeah. Which having a good run game helps for play action, but arguably. I think arguably, Jeremy, I know we've gone over this before, but my main point is that if Jared Goff is good at play action, I think any other quarterback is just as good at play action.
Why do you say that? You don't think there's a skill in play action?
I think that skill is easily picked up by quarterbacks who can also then drop back and be fine from the pocket too. It is literally the same. Like I'm sorry. I'm just saying like that bar is not high to clear. But I mean, again, I'm rooting for Goff. Let's be clear about that. I'm rooting for Goff, not just because he's a Lion, but I think he deserves a redemption story there. But
I do have to admit though, I've been calling Jared Goff a goober for years. That's literally been my word for him ever since the Hard Knocks where he's talking about the sun rising and setting. He's a goober.
Dude, that's relatable, man. That's so relatable. All right, quick break here. We'll come back. I want to talk about draft strategy for the Lions because, again, we've got 3 draft classes potentially being affected now with where the Lions pick. So we're going to talk about that on the other side here on the Pride of Detroit PODcast. All right, had to get that sneeze out. What is Chris smoking? I'm not smoking anything right now. Be nice, though.
Okay, really quick with alerts. I think we just had one during that that segment. D Leathers, thank you for the host. Appreciate that.
I did cut my goatee a little bit. Yeah, it was getting annoying too much.
Is that a real quote? Oh, it is. So Mike Silver, what is he? Where is he from? Is he NFL Network? He's Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, I think so.
Sports Illustrated.
Oh, is he? Okay.
It's not a Snuggie, guys. Just a blanket.
He tweeted out, I spoke to Jared Goff after he was traded to the Lions. He told me, I'm just excited to be somewhere that I know wants me and appreciates me.
Fey nut.
Yikes. That's yikes. You got to feel at least a little bit for Jared Goff, the goober that he is. I mean, it's a very quick rise and fall for him. Very, very quick rise and fall for him in Los Angeles. You don't see that happen very often, I don't think. A guy who gets a 4-year. I mean, that's the other thing in this whole thing. Like
Super Bowl.
It's not. The Rams didn't think the entire time that like our coaching and our scheme is the one that's making this guy look good. They gave him a 4-year, $134 million extension. They saw something not only in the draft, but in those first couple of years he was in the league. They're just like, holy shit, we got our guy. And so I think you can't erase those 2 Pro Bowl years. You just can't.
Yeah, here's the other thing too, though. And I mean, for the Rams, like they gave up a first-round pick in 2016 to get Jared Goff, 2 second-round picks in 2016, a third-round pick in 2016, a first-round pick in 2017, and a third-round pick in 2017, and then they had to give up even more to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Holy jumping.
And the Lions just signed someone from that front office. We're screwed. Look at them bungle the Jared Goff thing. Now we got to go find a quarterback. We're going to spend 8 first-round picks on a guy who's not going to get us to 1 Super Bowl, then lose everything.
But you know what? You don't. At least you don't have a stat padding quarterback anymore.
Yeah,
just getting you stats in garbage time. Can't win, man. Who cares about talent? Where's his wins in the postseason?
I've been seeing some Lions fans, or not Lions fans, but people with some takes about Matthew Stafford, like underneath like the national media writers on Twitter and stuff, and they are fun to read, man, because
let me just say
have no idea who Matthew Stafford is.
Let me just say this: Colin Cowherd is going to crack his mic tomorrow, and he's going to say a lot of cash shit that is not going to check out.
It's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait for all these casuals to out themselves. They don't know who Matthew Stafford is at all.
I think he knows who Stafford is. He just has a debilitating disease in which he believes that quarterbacks square off like boxers in a ring. And they're also CEOs at the same time too, don't you know? So
yeah, they got to wear that hat forward.
Yeah, hat forward, man. And you can't cut a wrestling promo or talk about kneecaps. That's a sign you will clearly fail, man. You have to be buttoned up, uptight, and with your T's dotted and everything. Like just like Nick Caserio.
Dude, man, how can you not be excited about this? This is the first time I've been excited about Lions football in maybe 2 years.
Man. I did not. I've been straight up about this. I despised every last year of the Patricia reign. I did not like the man. I did not like what came with the man. It's good to feel joy again. It's good to have memes again, you know?
And to be clear, when you say you're so excited for for Lions football, you're talking about 2023 Lions football, right?
Here's the thing.
There's going to be memes. Along the way, there's going to be memes.
There's going to be memes, and at least there's going to be intrigue because, like, who knows what you're going to get? Like yes, the luster on that will wear very thin. That's ephemeral, but like the thing with the Lions for the past couple of years, especially under Patricia, it's like you know what you're going to get, and you knew what was going to happen, and like there was no intrigue in that, and at least, I don't know, at least we have a goober at quarterback. Let's see if he works. Let's see if he doesn't work. And if he does, wow, the Lions fleeced the Rams. If he doesn't work, wow, the Lions still got a really good deal.
And we've got a pretty much of a goober at the coach position too. And I mean, just the press conferences are going to be crazy.
Just astronomy time with Jared Goff and Dan Campbell.
My favorite thing that Dan Campbell does is when he goes, "Man, that gets me fired up." Like when he says that he gets fired up over stuff. Like,
I know the Lions aren't eligible for Hard Knocks, but God, if there ever was a year,
I mean, they could always just nominate themselves. I don't think they would ever do that.
Just pull the ripcord. You've got Dan Campbell there. You got Jared Goff, who just came to town. Holy, give me that, man.
Right.
Yeah. That gets me fired up.
Fired up.
Gets me really fired up. Oh my God. That's what I mean. Like, listen to us. We're having fun. Like, there's no expectations now. We're just sitting here talking about these guys as goobers, and we're just, God, I haven't felt like this since 2016. Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and here's the thing with 2016 though, like as fun as it was freaking white knuckling it through the Himalayas the entire time. God.
Well, I mean, in your case, it was white knuckling it through Punta Cana, but you know,
that's very true.
Zach Zetter's back. No, Zach Zetter is not back. Zach Zetter is never back. Zach Zetter is never back. He's dead.
Good times. 100 bits from Big Al says, "Great job, Lions." I put up a poll yesterday, and I totally did not see the reaction, so we're gonna do it now on Twitch. I want to hear your grades for the trade.
Yeah, you do that. I'm gonna.
Sorry, and YouTube, you can just throw them in the chat. I will try to pay attention, but I'll run that for 3 minutes. I am curious what to see so far on Pride of Detroit. I think it's like 94% or something crazy like that, A's and B's. But yeah, I feel like people are in a pretty darn good mood about this. I gave it a B plus just because the lines are eating a lot of cap, and honestly, like, I don't know. I look at a potential. I threw it out there on Twitter today, and I thought it was a very fair, even trade. Would you rather get the trade that they got from the Rams, or would you rather get a first, a second, and a fourth from Washington this year? I think that's pretty close. Because you know that first is a 19, which is not bad. It's not. You don't know if either of the Rams picks are going to be under or over that 19, but you'd suspect at least one of them is probably going to be worse than 19.
Yeah.
A second and a fourth, and again, it goes back to the whole thing: is next year's first really worth a second round pick this year? I don't know.
Well, here's another thing that I think is sneaky good about the trade. I probably should say this for the podcast, but I'm going to give it away to the Twitch crew
Give
and
it
the
free.
YouTube. Yeah, because I do it for the people. But an underrated part of this trade is accumulating draft capital in case like a Deshaun Watson situation ever happens again. Like, oh, now all of a sudden the Lions have the kind of, capital and ammo to like load up and, if a franchise quarterback becomes available. And I know Deshaun Watson doesn't happen all the time, but like that's I don't know, that's just like risk mitigation. Like it's an opportunity for you to be ready for whatever deal might come your way. Maybe it's not even a disgruntled quarterback. Maybe it's, oh, hey, there's a guy that we really want in 2022 and we hold the number 3 pick and we have the Rams 18th pick. That's the kind of ammo that can get you up to number 2 or get you up to number 1. And you get the guy you want.
Literally, you can just do what the Rams did in a future year. Yeah. That's what you're proposing. You're basically saying, like, hey, what the Rams did to get Stafford, we can totally flip that with these kind of... That's what you can do when you have these kind of assets. And unlike the Rams, you're not giving away too many future years because you've got extras.
So what I just heard from Ryan is essentially go get Deshaun Watson. Is that right?
Oh, God.
Imagine they trade Goff away in that deal too.
I would quit my job. I would watch like sculpting tutorials on YouTube all day so I could build a statue
of Brad Holmes or Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
Both. It's going to be an amalgam. It's going to be an amalgamation.
Watson's not coming here.
No, he's not.
No, he's not coming here. But can we? I mean, this isn't really podcast talk, but do you think that the Stafford trade influences the return for Deshaun Watson at all whatsoever? I've seen articles that say no, it doesn't have an influence. I've seen articles that say yes, it does have an influence. Where do you guys kind of land on that spectrum?
Sorry, what's the question again? I'm really tired.
Does the Goff trade or Stafford trade affect the Deshaun Watson payout? And you mentioned it a little bit in your article. So I'll let you
I think it does. I think because like it's hard to. Well, here's the conundrum I came to when I was writing that, because I had to listen to Nick Caserio and why am I blanking on the Texans coach name?
Because it's a weird old guy that no one had ever heard of.
David Culley.
Yeah, and
both of them saying like, Watson's our quarterback. We want Deshaun Watson to be here. Watson may not believe it himself, but they seem committed to keeping them there in Houston, which would be, if you believe Watson right now, that would be a disaster. I don't know what Watson would do in that situation, but
already starting to hear rumbles of holding out, of sitting out in the season. If you're hearing that in January,
yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I can't cut it out from the realm of possibility. The Texans might seriously believe that they're sitting there, that they can convince Watson to come back, that things will be all right. He just needs to cool down. Like, the Texans might delude themselves into that.
Yeah.
It is within the realm of possibility with a good percentage happening. But if you do deal him, like, I mean, you're dealing a guy who is younger than Stafford, who some would say is better than Stafford. I don't know if I believe that. I'm not super high up on Watson like some other people. But Are you going to tell like that's what you're dealing with there? You're talking about a quarterback who is younger than Stafford and on his same level or better. And you're telling me he doesn't just whatever team has to pay for him will pay less than what the Rams just paid for Stafford?
Well, I mean, no. There's no chance at
No, I know, but that's the conundrum all these teams find themselves is they look at what everyone is trying to figure out what the market value is. We look to the past, but until Stafford went out, we looked at past years. We said, hey, what did the Broncos and the Bears do when Cutler went to Chicago? Like that was our frame of reference. Well, now we've got a new frame of reference, and it is 2 first rounders, a third rounder, and offloading a salary, and offloading a team unfriendly salary onto that as the price for Matt Stafford. That will impact whatever the asking price is for Deshaun Watson.
I guess my thoughts on it overall, and I do think each situation comes with its own unique challenges and all that stuff. But I just don't think this trade was that far off of market value of what we were expecting, because the way I'm continuing to look at it is that Matthew Stafford got the Lions a first and a third, which is almost exactly what I thought they would get. But then taking on Jared Goff's contract earned the Lions another first round pick. And so the market is right where I thought it was. Matthew Stafford's first and third, and then separate deal, Jared Goff coming and a first round pick coming, which I know that sounds weird, but that's teams do that in the NBA all the time, right? Like they take on these burden of contracts,
salary
dumps, and get, paid for it in draft picks. So I don't know. I don't think it affects it that much. It obviously is a data point, right? Like to work off of, and it was always going to be a data point to work off of. I just don't think it changes the market from what we perceived it to be before.
Yeah.
I still think Watson is a guy who three first round draft picks is probably the starting point that we're literally starting conversations with. And Lions have, I don't know if you heard, but the Lions have 5 first round picks in the next 3 years. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Jeez. But I just can't see Watson clearing his no trade, and he'll nix. He's like, oh, it's the Lions. I don't want to go to the Lions. Yeah.
Possible.
Although, granted, he seems to be really high up on going to the Jets, so maybe someone can talk him into this.
I don't believe that. First,
you don't believe that?
Why? I mean, why?
Saleh?
Why?
Saleh. Yeah.
He's a defensive coach. Why do you care?
Apparently he cares, man.
Imagine this. So if Bill O'Brien wouldn't have screwed over the Texans so bad, right? Like who knows whether or not Deshaun would have been in this situation, but let's say that he still is. The Texans could have had for trading Deshaun Watson, get like the second pick from the Jets, and they should have the third pick that now belongs to the Dolphins. Like,
oh man.
If there's one thing that this offseason has really taught me is that like the Lions were not a well-owned team in the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but they've never been as dysfunctional as the Texans are right now.
They have company. And I heard someone else say this again, because I have to run a radio board overnight, and that's why I'm slurping on energy drink right now. But I heard another spot from, another promo from another radio guy whose name I will not give, saying like, he was basically saying like, he was trying to argue that Watson should stay with the Texans, that he didn't understand why Watson wanted out. And he was even saying like, it's the Texans. They're not the Bengals. They're not the Lions. And to that I say, I disagree. The Texans absolutely belong as a model of league dysfunction right now. I don't know what rock you had to climb. Like someone was saying, oh, but they were winning, the AFC South every now and then. And all I got to say that is cool. The AFC South, cool.
Yeah. Yep.
How many playoff wins do they get out of that? Like, and you're saying the Bengals are dysfunction when that's literally the same qualification of the Bengals. The Bengals went to the playoffs 7 times under Marvin Jones, and 7 times they lost, did not get a playoff win. That the Texans kept going to the playoffs. They kept losing. Do the Texans, do they have a playoff win?
Yeah.
I don't think they do.
I think they do.
I think they might have one.
There was a game or two where they're just like each team is starting a complete garbage quarterback. Wait,
Yeah.
no, they didn't win. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
No,
it was definitely one of those ones where it was like Josh McCown under center or something like that. That they like, but they were up against like a Garbo Colts team or a Garbo. Oh, that's right, the Bills. Yeah. I forgot about the Bills. Yeah.
last year the Bills, and then
Tom Savage.
they won one in 2017 against the Raiders. It was Connor Cook versus Brock Osweiler.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I think it's time to get back in.
So, as far as people banging on Goff not being good, that's how far down we can keep going, folks. You think you've hit the rock bottom when it comes to NFL quarterbacks. Trust me. We can go deeper. We can go much, much deeper.
All right.
Yeah, let's get
back into it. I will say, before we get into this last segment, we're only at 16 of 100 subs, which means this baby might finally be free.
He might take it. Goff him.
Yikes.
I'm not ready for those kind of golf puns. I'm just not.
Kwasalo, that is a name I have not seen in forever. Jimmy Clausen, and I feel like horrified that I see that name and recognize it. Jimmy Clausen.
Oh, and actually,
all right, let's do
really quick. Chat.
Yeah.
This week, would you rather have a Saints guest on a midweek podcast to talk more about Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn, or a Rams person on to talk about the trade and maybe give us a little bit of insight what went wrong with Jared Goff? The Jared Goff one would be a little more timely. I think it might make more sense. But let me know. Rams, Goff guest, Saints.
I like the Rams. Oh my God. Here goes.
Well, that's going to kickstart things a little bit. That's a 25 bomb from Lefty Detroit. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, that bumps us all the way up to 41. We'll see where we go from there.
All right.
Thank you, Lefty.
I'm starting to fade, so
okay.
I will. Let's get this done. Now we could worry about your ratty mustache. Wrapping up the Pride of Detroit POD cast here. Once again, just things happening around here. Awful, terrible things. We had some good conversations during the break, but I do want to bring it back to I want to bring it back to the Lions here. We've kind of gotten lost. We started talking about Jared Goff. There's been some pressure, I think, as we sit here and talk about this and race it through our heads to talk about the Rams side of things a little bit, but I do want to bring it back to the Lions. I want to talk about their strategies, what they have, because now you've got look, the Lions, I think they're going to draft a quarterback soon, but I don't necessarily believe it's going to be in 2021. And they've got the options and they've got the flexibility for the next few drafts. And I know people say 2022, there's no good quarterback prospects in that, but we do this every year, man. Every year we say that in January, and then come November, there's like 5 on the board. So I don't know. Like, you've got, as I said, you've got picks in 2022, 2023. The Lions can trade those picks into any draft up until that year to make a move wherever they want. So do you see them going more, you see them likely to go up this year or stay pat, trade down? Like, I mean, I can't even begin to fathom the possibilities of what they could do with this kind of haul, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's kind of a push-pull in terms of their overall philosophies, right? Because everything we've learned about Brad Holmes over the past couple of weeks is he likes to be aggressive. If he finds his guy, he's got no qualms jumping up and getting him. But you also have to kind of coincide that with some of the things the lines are saying, which is something that you don't normally hear from front office this early, which is, hey, we're not close. Like, they haven't said those exact words, but like when Dan Campbell goes on record and says, I would love to believe that we're close, but we're probably not that close, kind of sounds to me like they know they're not close. They know they shouldn't be spending future draft resources right now to maybe get a franchise quarterback. That being said, I'm not saying it's completely out of the possibilities. We know this team needs a franchise quarterback now. Maybe the Lions think Jared Goff can potentially be that guy, but they don't have to think that. And Jared Goff gives them the options. All these draft picks give them the options. Quarterback is certainly still on the table. There are already reports out there that the Lions still very much consider quarterback on the table for 7. But I think this definitely turns down the likelihood that they go up and get a guy. Again, I still think it's possible because they have all these draft resources, but to me, it's more likely that this team is just like, let's see what comes to us. We can use a heck of a lot of things. Maybe we're at 7 and a quarterback is still available, but he's not our quarterback. Well, then guess what? Let's trade back. Let's get more. Let's get more resources for the future. I think that's something the Lions absolutely have to consider because now they have a good enough quarterback to buy them some time to find that franchise guy if he's not there at 7.
Yeah, the chips are available. And I think that's what's most important to always keep in mind about this deal. Don't get caught up in Jared Goff being a bridge. Don't get caught up in the money that Jared Goff is going to cost the Lions over the next 2 years. Let's think about what the Lions were able to accomplish with this trade. They got a 3rd-round pick, and for a GM who has a track record of nailing middle-of-the-round picks, an extra 3rd-round pick is nothing to sneeze or cough at.
Yep.
And he got an extra couple of 1st-round picks, too. That, you know what? If the Rams win back-to-back Super Bowls, good for them. The Lions still have pick 32 in the 2022 draft. They have picked 32 in the 2023 draft. Like, that's nothing to sneeze or cough at. The thing that's always important to keep in mind is Stafford wanted to mutually part ways, and the Lions met him there and they got the deal done. And the Lions have flexibility. Like, that's awesome. They have the opportunity. They're at 7. There are 4 quarterbacks that I think everybody kind of has pegged as being top 10 guys. Having the number 7 pick and then having that extra draft capital, if they want to move up, they can. If their guy isn't there, and I wrote about this for the Saturday Open thread, which was funny enough that, you know, I'm on a record here, folks. I have like 3 articles in a row that were like the precursors to shit that happened.
Jeez.
I'm taking my little victory lap. But what I'm saying is, like,
Bovada Damas.
I'm legal now.
That's true.
I'm so legal now. But the last thing I'll say is that the Lions had a chance to improve their draft ammo, and they did it. And let's see what the future holds. But, you know, the Lions have better possibilities on hitting now than they did before.
And the one thing I want to add there too is, I think a lot of people's concern is the Lions are at 7. When else are they going to have an opportunity this high in the draft to take a quarterback? Well, the answer is whenever the hell they want to, because they have the extra draft capital, because they have all these resources. Let's say they have a surprising season. They go 9-8 because we're, again, 17-game season. They're picking 20, 22. I mean, that's probably too high. Maybe like 16, 17. Guess what? Package some trades up and some guys and go get the best team, best player, the best quarterback in the 22 draft. That's certainly a possibility and something that makes a lot of sense. Why not do that?
Jeremy, this is the general manager that when the Rams were picking 15th in 2016, they were the lowest picking team in NFL history to trade up to the number 1 spot. And you know what it took? It took extra draft capital. And that's what the Lions have now.
Yep.
So
there you go. By the way, shout out to
there you go.
Smack77 for the raid of 55. Are you kidding me?
Here.
Appreciate that.
And Jeremy's reacting to something that's happening on the channel. Because once again, our live audience stuff is taking over the podcast recording.
I was trying to keep it out of the podcast recording, and then you had to bring it up.
Because I believe in being honest.
Okay,
Jeremy.
there you go.
I believe in being honest. So I mean, if I was going to put your feet to it, like what year do you think the Lions pick a quarterback?
I mean, that's such a hard question to ask. I think they still I think they still take one this year. I do.
Okay.
I think
you think they're going to spend some of that capital to move up?
It's possible, but I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I think I don't know. I keep going back and forth on it because again, this front office has certainly gotten a reputation, whether it's Dorsey or Holmes, the Rams or the Chiefs or whoever it is, they have a reputation for if they have a guy, they want him, they get him.
Yes.
And so it all depends on how much they love this guy. They love everyone outside of what's his name?
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Thank you. I almost said Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is and that's the tough part for me is because I feel like Trevor Lawrence is an easy franchise quarterback. Everyone agrees he's going to be good. Everyone agrees he's going to be first pick. They're not going to be able to pry him away from Jacksonville. Everyone else is a question mark. There are a lot of people that like Trey Lance. There's a lot of people that like Justin Fields. Not so many that like Trask or the Bama quarterback,
Mac Jones.
I work for Mac Jones.
I don't know if any of if Holmes is gonna really fall in love with any of those guys. I'm not sure that they will, and they certainly can't be sure that any of them will fall to them at 7. So it might just be a wait. I think they probably play the wait and see game, and if someone is there at 7, great. If not, like we just got done saying, they have options. They don't need to force themselves this year. Just kind of sit back and relax a little bit.
I work for Mac Jones.
I'm totally on board just for the memes. Like, seriously, let's do it.
There's
Jeremy,
our favorite movie.
I think yeah. I think that if this regime has a guy that they absolutely love that isn't Trevor Lawrence, they go up and they grab him when they need to. But being at 7 and with just having as many needs as they have on defense, like, this is the other luxury that they afforded themselves. They afforded themselves the opportunity to be patient and to wait and to strike while the iron's hot, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, like they don't need to feel pressured. Like, 2021 is going to be best player available. If they can get their guy best, then that's fine. Otherwise, best player available, and just wait for next year. You got time. You got Jared Goff. You got things to worry about. And again, I think people don't realize what a disadvantage scouting this year's draft is at. Not only for the NFL in general, but for, in particular, the Detroit Lions. Because for the NFL in general, you're talking about no real combine, no real interviews. Basically, the combine is just glorified pro days. But there's no interviews being conducted. That's huge, I feel like, to get a sense for these guys too. Brad Holmes is still filling out his staff in Detroit, and I don't know if and we've had a bunch of these guys, people keep bringing up Trey Lance. He played one game in 2020. One game.
It's a tough
one
eval.
game, and everyone
Tough eval.
That is a tough sell. That is a tough to tell me, hey, you have this small, tiny sample size, 2019 and earlier, and one game you played in 2020. I don't know what to do with that. I don't. Like, there's and you have some teams like Justin Fields played 5 games, 7 games if we're counting the playoffs. Yeah, 7 games. Versus what normally Ohio State would play in a full season, which would be 15. If they did the whole schedule, played the Big Ten championship, and then also played 2 games in the college football playoffs. That matters, man. When you're trying to get who these guys are right now, that matters. And again, I don't know if the Lions are ready to compare that to what's probably going to happen in 2021, where I think we will get a full season. I think we will get full seasons out of college football, and you'll be able to make those judgments.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I mean, the ultimate part of this discussion is just the Lions have time. They have all the time in the world. They have resources invested in the future. and they have a head coach for the future. They have a GM for the future. There's no rush. The rush is once you sent Matthew Stafford packing to the West Coast, there is no rush to this. And I know Lions fans aren't going to want to be super patient. They're probably willing to right now. Once maybe November rolls around and this team's 3-13 or whatever, maybe they won't be as patient. But I think right now we can all see that this is a full blow up. And so that means no rush. Do not rush yourself into a decision because a franchise quarterback is a huge decision, a huge investment. If the Lions draft one 7th overall, he has to be the guy. You do not want Brad Holmes' first draft pick to be a quarterback dud. And so just take it easy. Take your time with this. Be methodical with it, but don't rush into a decision with the franchise quarterback because
take
you
your
have
time
Jared
with
Goff.
Take your time with it. You're going to need to reload on wide receivers. The defense has holes all over the place. The Lions have more than just quarterback as their need. Yep. If they just had quarterback as their need, they'd be doing what the Rams just did. But there's a lot of more holes all over the place. There's plenty to build, and it means we're going to have to start doubling down and doing a lot more of Jeremy's favorite thing, which is talking about the draft.
Yeah, this one actually matters now, Jeremy. This one matters a lot.
The 2021 draft. This one's for real.
This one's for real. 2022. This one's for realer.
Because that's the thing. I'll get it. I'll get into 2022. They only got one first round pick this year. Who cares?
I think that's a wrap there. So, yeah, for myself, Jeremy Reisman's on Twitter at Detroit on Lion. I'm on Twitter at Chris Perfett, Perfett. Ryan at Ryan_POD. It's time we get out of here. It's time for me to take a nap. I'm trying not to doze off as I'm coming off doing my overnight, but we'll be back here soon. We did ask our live audience who they want to see for First Bite. We're going to try to, I think, get a Rams guest to talk about what went wrong with Jared Goff. No promises yet, but I think that's our hope.
Yep.
And that would be fantastic because I think a lot of Lions fans should probably want to know what they're getting in Goff. And then plenty of time to talk draft here, man. I know Senior Bowl just happened. We're not going to sit here and talk about Senior Bowl, but we will gladly start talking about all that stuff in the week after the Super Bowl. So until then, we'll see you Star Side.
All right, live audience, we'll stick around for the after show, the afterglow. If this is your first time here, because we do have upwards of 700 people here watching betwing Twitch and YouTube.
Oh, God.
Our recorder didn't shut down. It was awesome.
No, I have no... Craig survived.
Yeah.
I don't know what I did.
We'll hang out for, I don't know, about 15, 20 minutes at the most here, because I've got
like 10 in me, but I'll let you guys. Are you ducking, Ryan?
No, I just need to go urinate.
That will allow it.
Okay. I'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
We can
Is
definitely...
that what you call it?
Sure. A lamb's tail. It's talking about his wiener. Anyways, listen, this is usually the time we do Q&As, and again, I want to thank Smack77 for the 55-person raid. All the people in here who started spamming little lightning bolts.
I think we do need...
Appreciate
one of the things.
Stop by. Yeah.
I think one of the things we do need for the Twitch, I was just thinking about this for the stream, we probably need an on-air sign for when we are doing our actual podcast segment versus just chatting. So on air, we'll just tell people, and maybe we can plug that into the Nightbot where it's like, look, we're recording the podcast stuff right now. We can't really interact with chat that much, but stick around. We'll interact once the on-air sign goes off.
And same with alerts. We don't really respond to alerts until the breaks in between the podcast. But yeah, that's a good idea for because we're going to work a lot on, I think, the design of the page, because this looks pretty basic. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but, we're gonna do some stuff. We have plenty to work on. That's for sure.
Anyways, after show, feel free to throw them some questions, whether on YouTube or Twitch. We'll answer them. I'll leave the Save the Stash campaign up for now. But I think I'm headed towards some upper lip freedom finally, which
Finally.
which a lot of people are going to be relieved. A lot of people are also going to be upset, but that's fine.
Yes, for me.
Who harbors more hatred, us for Matt Patricia or the Rams for first-round picks? I mean, it's got to be us for Patricia because, I mean, the Rams might not be drafting with first-round picks, but they're certainly getting value out of them.
Mm-hmm. They're using them.
Oh, man. I'm just... A couple of things. One, wild scenario. If you're Urban Meyer and you're Jacksonville, would you trade the number 1 overall pick for Deshaun Watson?
No. You take Lawrence.
I have to think about this one. I really do.
I think it's the quicker route to success, right?
It is. How close do you think Jacksonville is, though?
I mean, they have all. We're talking about draft capital, and I guess that's really what made me think of this question. But like, the Jaguars have a bunch of other draft capital.
They do. They do.
So they could really turn things around in a hurry if they hit on some of those draft picks, and they have top 5 quarterback like Watson.
And they have a ton of cap space too. So Watson's contract is nothing to them.
You think Allen Robinson would come back?
No.
No.
Well, to play with Deshaun Watson,
I don't know, maybe.
Kenny Galladay. Hey, we didn't even talk about Dan Orlovsky on the entire podcast.
That's ideal. That's ideal.
Why? Just because he's my boy Matthew Stafford going where he wants.
Well, I was gonna say the Marvin Jones thing.
Yeah, I mean that makes a ton of sense. Marvin Jones going to South Beach, where he also has, a home somewhere.
South Beach.
Not South Beach. Sorry, L.A.
You thinking of Long Beach?
Probably.
I don't know. Crossed up?
Maybe. Who knows?
Something like that. But I don't know. I mean, do the Rams need more receivers? Like Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp.
They've got Woods. Yeah, Woods and Kupp. Maybe you're worried about Kupp's like health overall, but I mean, come on.
Here, and you know what I want the Rams to do? I want them to show everybody that the salary cap really doesn't matter and go out and sign Kenny Galladay. Like, go out and sign Kenny Galladay and just show everybody how little the NFL salary cap actually matters. I'm going to expect an answer from you, though, at some time, Jeremy. You can keep thinking about whether or not you would trade the number 1 pick for Deshaun Watson.
Well, while you guys do that, I think I'm going to. I usually stick around on these. I apologize. I really need to tap out.
You do look
for those wondering, I have been up since 7 p.m. last night. That's West Coast time. So I've been up. Actually, I've been up since it was before that because actually the Stafford news broke. I've been up since like 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and I've been up this whole time. So I am going to tap out now. Go get some sleep. You guys have fun with this. Podcast will drop tomorrow. Jeremy, Ryan will answer your questions. We'll see you guys around.
All right, buddy. Get some sleep.
Take care, guys.
All right. I'm so excited for this trade as a Rams fan, says LA Rams 23, which is interesting because, I'm very curious as to see what the Rams perspective of this entire thing is. We didn't talk about it much on the podcast, and maybe you want to chime in a little bit about it, Ryan, but to me, I kind of view this as a win-win overall. Like, I'm of the belief if you are a piece away, and it can be argued whether the Rams are truly a piece away or not. There were certainly some issues with that offense that I think went beyond Jared Goff this year. But defensively, they're strong. Defensively, I mean, you also have to wonder about all the coaching staff, all the front office pieces that got poached this year as well. But all that being said, I'm of the belief 2 first-rounders is a fine price to pay for a franchise quarterback that can get you to that Super Bowl level, and I think Stafford is that guy.
Yeah, I don't think it can be. I don't think it. We would be remiss if we did not acknowledge all the risk that is involved in this. Because I agree with you. Like, I think that if you think you're a piece away, and if you think that piece is a top 10 quarterback, which I think Matthew Stafford is, the Rams did good. And now you can't help but wonder. And I think you mentioning, Jeremy, that a lot of the Rams either coaching staff. Or front office staff were poached this offseason, you can't help but wonder maybe if this is a little bit of a, the Rams finally being a little desperate and being like,
sure,
hey, like, I mean, it's cool that we're treading water. It's cool that, we're making the playoffs. We win a playoff game here and there. But, we went to the Super Bowl, and ever since then, we haven't been able to go back to the Super Bowl. We haven't been able to go back to the NFC Championship game. So you wonder how much it might be ownership that maybe is like, hey, like, we get it, but like, how can we get back to the top of the mountain? And this seems like one of those trades because there is a certain measured amount of risk that is involved in this trade.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially a short-term move, and there's always risk in short-term moves because I thought you brought up a really good example with the 49ers. Like, everything looked like it was trending towards that team being right back in Super Bowl contention this year, and everything fell apart with injuries. Everything fell apart. No one is questioning Kyle Shanahan over there in San Francisco. Their defensive coordinator just got a head coaching job for, what did they end up going, 6-10, 7-9, whatever it was. Maybe
6-10, yep.
It can all fall apart, just and to the fault of no one. It can just when you make a move like this, you are saying we have to get a Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years. We have to, and it just, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Let's see. Let's go back to the chat here for a couple more questions. Do we think the Rams with Stafford beats Green Bay this year? Green Bay has a lot of questions to answer this offseason too. They're up against the cap. They're going to have to make some cuts. Some guys I think are due some deals themselves. I think that's why Aaron Rodgers was all melodramatic at the end of the season. He realized, like, this team, I think this year may have been Green Bay's best shot with Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to stick around, but I don't think he's going to get better pieces around him than he had this year.
Unless they learn from the sins of last year, right? And I don't know. There's part of me that wants to jump on board with the idea that, like, hey, the Packers did nothing to really help Aaron Rodgers tangibly in the 2020 draft. I mean, yeah, they got AJ Dillon, but like beyond that, like, their first round pick was Jordan Love. Like, they moved up to get a quarterback. And I don't know, man. I think just Rodgers' reaction and kind of the fallout from the NFC Championship game, like, really spoke volumes. Like, I didn't think that, like, those things were really going to come out of his mouth in terms of, like, his uncertainty with the future of the team. Because, I mean, as long as you have Aaron Rodgers, like, I feel like you have a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's even a more delicate situation, I think, than like the Houston situation. You know what I mean? Because Deshaun Watson, like, it seems like he has 2 feet out the door. Like, he's just waiting for somebody to throw him the bag so he knows where he's going, But like with Aaron Rodgers, it's like, dude, at some point you have to do something to, like, get some other guys around him.
For sure. Sorry, I'm starting a poll because I'm curious. This is a great question of the day too. Is like, what are you rooting for now? And I know where you stand. We talked about it a little bit already. Mm-hmm. Are you rooting for Stafford to succeed in LA, or are you rooting for LA to collapse and the Lions to get a better pick?
And I think with that question, I think it says a lot about somebody, because if you're rooting for Matthew Stafford to prove that he was a winning quarterback all along and he just needed the right situation, the right team, the right coach, and all that stuff, you're rooting for your own vindication. So
you're selfish? Is that what you're saying? Are you calling me selfish?
Yes. I think like it's a really selfish thing to do when it's like, hey, if the Rams fall on hard times, the football franchise that you root for is going to improve their draft capital. So obviously I'm never going to root for like Matthew Stafford to get injured, or I'm going to like root for him to be bad. Like, I'm not going to be miffed if Stafford goes to LA, plays mediocre, maybe doesn't get them to the playoffs or something like that. And then people are like, yep, Matthew Stafford is who we thought he was. Like, no, you know what? I watched enough Matthew Stafford to know, like, Matthew Stafford was a top 10 quarterback at any given point in his career.
You're right that I think a lot of people are viewing the situation like that. I don't think that's the only reasons to root for Matthew Stafford, though. I think a guy who's been around here for 12 years, who put in a hell of a lot of work, who was very generous in giving back to the community, you become a fan of Matthew Stafford, independent of the Detroit Lions.
I'm a fan of Matthew Stafford, absolutely.
And that,
yeah.
And for some reason, for some people, that's enough to root for him in Los Angeles. Because here's the thing: is the difference is the entire face of the franchise going to be completely altered by the Lions picking 30th versus 26th or 25th or 20th? Those 10 spots. If Brad Holmes is who the Lions hope he is, it doesn't matter if the Lions are going to be picking 32nd with that draft pick or if they're going to be picking 15th. They're going to be on the right path to win. So with that in mind, you root for Matthew Stafford because you like Matthew Stafford.
And that's fine, but you're selfish.
Okay, now, what do you think the poll... I assume you don't have the poll results pulled
I don't.
up. What do you think they are right now?
What was the exact poll question again?
Who are you rooting for? Either Stafford's success in LA or LA loses and the Lions pick increases?
People are inherently selfish. Like, this is that episode of Community where, they're having the debate about whether or not man is good or good or evil.
Yep.
No, people are rooting for Matthew Stafford so that they can feel vindicated.
By a margin of 56% to 44%.
Oh, a lot closer. I thought you were going to say like a margin of 56%.
No,
I was
no,
going
no,
to whoa!
People prefer LA to lose.
Wow. Hey,
Yeah.
I like a lot more of our viewers than I thought I did. I'm kidding. It's a joke.
I guess you had the more convincing argument there. We'll see. No, I think.
Well, but Jeremy, I agree with you, and I think I've voiced this opinion on the podcast, numerous times over the course of the last couple of years. But like, I've really started like rooting for players more so than rooting for teams.
Right.
So it was really easy for me to disassociate, or it was really easy for me to like root for Matthew Stafford and root for the Lions to win, but like not root for like Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was like, that's really kind of like the genesis of like, rooting for players instead of teams came from, I think.
Yeah. And Alien Vivitor is right. Both sides are selfish in their own different ways. Let's be honest here. If you're saying like, I want Matthew Stafford to fail because I want a better draft pick, that's selfish.
Right. But one side is like, I want Matthew Stafford to be good because I wanted to be right this whole time. Like,
okay, so the difference is one group talks in an annoying voice. Got it.
Yes. Like Chris said on the podcast, though, isn't it so? It's so cool to have fun. Like, usually when we get done with the podcast, I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to talk about the Lions anymore.
I mean,
but
to be fair, this is the off season, and that is for years it's been the most fun part.
Yeah,
I mean,
but like
I
this
hate the off season, but this is different.
This is like taking a whole like oil barrel of lighter fluid and throwing it on the off season flame.
Yeah,
it's just like
absolutely. I think there's a middle ground to be had on this debate, though, right? Like because I'm certainly torn. Like I feel like I'm in that middle ground. I don't want to root against Stafford. I do want to see him succeed. I do want everyone else to see what people in Detroit have been screaming for years. But
yeah,
I also want the Lions to pick like 15. That'd be awesome. Top 10 would be amazing.
But then you're kind of playing with house money, right? Like if Matthew Stafford succeeds, it's like cool. Like our guy, the guy that I always believed in, he went out and did it. Like good for him.
Yeah. But
if he doesn't, it's like, oh, cool. The Lions picked 12 this year.
Right. Thick Boy 71 redeemed a Zazu request here, cameo request. So we'll get him in the picture here in a second. Someone also asked how the new chair is. It's very nice. If you want to take a look at it, it looks actually a lot cooler from the back.
So nice.
And I'm already running it into things, and you can't really tell. But it's cool. It's very comfortable. I don't understand why it costs as much as it does, but I got it for free, so I can't complain about that. Zazu, come here. Come here. Good boy. Here's my boy. I told myself I wasn't going to allow him to come up on this chair because it's such an expensive chair. But I've already succumbed less than 24 hours in. Oh, who is that boy? Who is that big boy? Can I get some gooses in the chat, my friend? Oh. Do you remember him? He's your friend. He's your friend. Oh, okay. Not impressed. This is a dog stream now. Very often our after show, after parties just become dog shows. How's Goose doing these days?
He's a good boy. He came and stayed the night with me last night. So
how big is he now?
He's like 52 pounds.
Oh, Zazu, he's coming for you. He's coming for you.
He wants that rematch. He's like, listen here, brother. You drew blood last time, but you didn't end the war.
Oh, such a good boy.
Hey, do you want to be the star right now?
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
He is the star now.
Look over here.
Jeremy, would you really want your ex to find a good guy and be happy with? I mean, listen, if we left on good terms, yes. I don't want him to be hotter than me, but... I'm becoming a Rams season ticket holder too. I might go to that game in LA next year. I have plenty of connections there in LA. Plenty of beds to sleep on. I don't know. It might hurt me too much though. It might hurt me too much. Although here's what I hope. I hope it comes late in the season. I hope the Lions season is already over, quote unquote over. And like there doesn't have to be anything on the line emotionally other than like watching Stafford beat the Lions, which is in and of itself something weird, but in terms of like actual like playoff implications, not that I think the Lions are even going to be in playoff contention next year. If it's if it's a week 14 game, I think I have to go watch. I have to. Plus, I haven't been back to LA since I left, so good opportunity to get there and get some bomb-ass ramen or something.
Always a good excuse.
I miss LA ramen so much. I know it's a weird thing to miss with LA, but it's like it's literally one of the top 5 things I miss about LA is the fantastic ramen they have there.
The thing that has kind of sucked about like the whole pandemic in general is like it's tough to like go out and try new food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's true. Charlie Bass with the Twitch Prime subscription. Appreciate you. Keeping the dream alive. We're up to 42. But we are in the waning minutes here at this point. I am ready to just about get off and maybe write a quick article about making fun of the Patriots. Because when do Lions fans get to do that?
When do Lions fans get to that? Yeah, when do Lions fans ever get to dunk on Patriots?
It's literally never happened before. Literally never happened before. What will the Lions do at 7? Oh, man. Anything they want. There's so many options at this point. I think quarterback still very much remains on the table. I think a skill position could happen. You know, Lions need a wide receiver. That's certainly on the table. I think the question is just who do they like? And unfortunately there's not a ton of top tier defensive talent. It seems like this year. Again, I'm just basing that on other people's research, not my own research. But seems like Parsons is the one guy that a lot of people like. Trade back is absolutely an option. Flight. Jalen Waddle, certainly an option as well, assuming he finally gets healthy again. Shave on stream. No, you guys don't want. I've done that before. It's weird. It's awkward. I'm not going to do it. You son of a bitch. The game has been changed. Ryan, what are you doing?
Keep the stash. Keep the stash.
I mean, we're still far away. 33 away. But that gets us significantly closer. Ryan, thank you for the 25 gifted subs. And there's another sub from Get You Fit, getting us to 68. We're at least we're getting close to a different goal.
We're almost nice.
We're almost nice. And I wonder, that might push us over 500, by the way. I don't know if this already got updated or not, but 500 subs would be a hell of a milestone to hit in January. Nothing we've even come close to before. I think we've bounced close to 200 before, but this has been a ridiculous year for us, or month for us, I should say. Oh, shit.
What happened now?
First, well, there it is. There it is. 10 from Joshua, 25 from Lefty, and I was just about to end this damn podcast. And that's 30. That's 35 alone. There was also one in there from Get You Fit, and Jesus Christ. Well, I hope you guys are happy. You got so damn close.
I want you to meet Jared Goff with that mustache. So we're gonna have to keep that around until March.
Yeah, I mean, you got 4 or 5 weeks to keep it up. I don't know. But I do want to take a moment to really point to a couple people who've been ridiculous in their support for the channel. Lefty Detroit is one of them. Joshua has certainly been one of them. I'm probably going to miss a couple of them, you guys, but like, we appreciate everyone that's been here. Like the fact that we've had 600, 700, we had 1,000 yesterday at midnight doing a live stream. This place has blown the heck up in the past 2 months. And part of it is just people are excited about Lions football again. Part of it, I think this is like staying power. Like, I did a random stream yesterday where I was going to put together this chair, and it turned out the chair didn't need to get put together, and y'all still stayed 100, 150, 200 people strong the entire time just doing a quick Q&A. So, man, you guys are ridiculous. I missed bits before, too. I think Nick the Greek was in there with... what did he give? He gave 101 bits earlier. Now some bits are coming in as well. Conrad with the 5 gifted subs says the stash lives on. Big Al with 100 bits says the stash stays. Nick the Greek again with 100 bits says Royd Miranelli. Not entirely sure what that even means, but yeah, I don't even know what to say, guys. This has been... I mean, this is the last day of the month, and we just crushed every record. We've been doing this thing for just over 2 years, about 2 years and 3 months, and it's awesome to see it pay off. Not only, you know, the finances or whatever. Like, I'll be okay financially with or without the Twitch stream. What's awesome to see is our community growing. What's awesome to see is getting to know a specific bunch of you guys, playing games with you guys, rating you on Twitch, seeing YouTube just completely blow up, and you know, all the appreciation we get on that end as well. We had a bunch of super chats yesterday and a couple today as well, so the financial part is starting to kick in too. But again, to me, Pride Detroit has always been unique in its community. It's the reason why I loved Pride Detroit and started there as a commenter. They had the fan post section where you guys can write your own articles, and it'll be there on the front page of Pride of Detroit, and you'll have a bunch of people reading it. And this year, Pride of Detroit took a little bit of hit because they decided to change their commenting system. A lot of people hated it. So I think there was kind of just like people reaching out. They wanted to know where they could find a Lions community.
There was that void, right?
Yeah, there was a void to be filled. And another part of this whole thing that's been popping off is our Discord. Our Discord is insane right now. If you go to the welcome area, like this was just yesterday. We got about 20 people yesterday. Since this is all still late January, early January, all these people coming, and like this was all of December right here on this page. And then everything else from here, January. Like, if you haven't joined our Twitch or Discord community, it's basically just a chat, a live chat. And And so I do think we're kind of filling a void, and it's awesome to get to know a bunch of you guys, because I mean, COVID, right? Like COVID is also a reason I think maybe why we haven't been able to meet Lions fans face to face. We haven't been able to go to games. So having this virtual community has been incredible. And I'm sorry to go off on such a big tangent when we were trying to answer some Lions questions, but I do feel like I have to take a moment. Every time we hit this goal, it's blowing my mind, and it's unnecessary, and I appreciate it nonetheless. Even if I was dreaming of shaving this thing 5 minutes ago. I'm more than happy to keep it, given all the support. So that's all I gotta say, I guess. Have other SB Nation sites started following your example of podcasting and streaming? A little bit. I know Baltimore Beatdown has started their Twitch channel. Kyle Barber, now a friend of mine, I have no problem in saying he's really trying to get their Twitch channel off the ground. So if you guys want to support them, I would love for us to be kind of an example of a successful model. I believe Acme Packing Company also started a Twitch page, which I would ask that you guys not troll, but I haven't seen it yet. So still kind of in the early processes there. But yeah, that's I don't know. I think that's all I got. Anything else from you, Ryan, or your sleepy boy behind you?
I think he's ready for a good walk, but I echo a lot of the same sentiments that Jeremy had, and for me personally, I think over the course of the last 6 months, it's been one of the most challenging times of my entire life, and the podcast has been something that, even when the Lions suck, and I only want to be here for an hour and a half and talk Lions and stuff, it was still something that I always look forward to and continue to look forward to. And I hope that, moving forward, we have more opportunities because, as Jeremy mentioned, we've done draft parties in the past, and we hope that we can do some of those things in the future with all of you, and invite you and give you an opportunity, not only to be a part of that, but for us to meet you, because you're a great bunch of people, and man, that just gets me fired up.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want to be able to give back more to you guys, because I know for a lot of you, just the Lions information we give or the interactivity or whatever is enough, but
you can get that anywhere.
You can get most of that anywhere. Not everyone's doing Twitch channels and all that, and YouTube and things like that, but I almost feel like we're getting more in return than we're giving back. So that's something I want to focus on in 2021 is maybe giveaways, things like that. We've worked with the Lions before. Our last charity event, we gave away a lot of cool prizes, and I know if basically what we've seen out of Dan Campbell so far in terms of sending Sweta that personal message, doing personal Zooms with Lions fans already, he's willing to give back to the community. I love to partner up with the Lions. I think the Lions are going to be much more interactive, and that might lead to some opportunities with us to give back to you guys. So that's what I want to do. Virtual draft party. Last year we did a virtual draft party on this page, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. It was amazing. Numbers were through the roof. I think everyone involved was having fun. You can go to our Facebook page. There's literally video of our reaction to the Jeff Okudah pick, which is probably a lot different than what it would be today. No offense to Jeff Okudah, but I don't know. I don't know what else to say. This all feels very self-indulgent right now, so I'm getting uncomfortable, and I'm ready to end this thing. But that is. I do want to say that giving back to the community of you guys, since you have been extremely generous, not just this month, but really through the past 2 years, is one of my top goals. So hopefully we get some sort of opportunity to do that. Heart. And one way we can give back to the community, and it's a very small way, but we're going to do it anyways, is if you guys are gamers, if you guys are streamers on Twitch, maybe even on YouTube, although I don't really know if you can raid on YouTube. But one thing we like to do is raid people that we know, raid people that we like, raid fellow Lions fans. We do have a fellow Lions fan that is currently streaming that we've raided once before, but let's go do it again. Our good friend Darth Hippo is currently streaming, and I believe he's playing Valorant. So if you guys like gaming, or if you just want to hang around on the interwebs and talk more Lions football with all of you guys collectively and with someone else, please go over there, go say hi. We got almost 100 people from Twitch going over there to say hello, and I can tell you that makes a huge difference for people that are trying to get affiliate on this website, for people who are trying to get partnership on this website. So at least hang around for a little bit, say hi, and we will see you guys later this week, either with the Saints podcast, or I saw a lot of you preferred the Rams podcast, so I'll try to line up a Rams guest sometime this week, and then we'll get the Saints person in there later as well. So until then, thanks for joining, everybody. We appreciate you. We're going to give back to you. Go Lions. The future is bright. The future is Goff.